Okay, good morning everyone, and happy 40th anniversary of the Village Zendo. So we just had some sitting, and then we had our Gate of Sweet Nectar ceremony. This is one of the most elaborate ceremonies that we do here at the Zendo. It's got very ancient roots. It's still practiced in many parts of East Asia. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it at the start of my talk here. It was so nice to hear all of your voices and energy, and I think that that's really the essence. The heart of this whole ceremony is the energy that you give in the ceremony. So great to have a full room here at the Zendo and to see so many folks online. People coming to the Zendo after a long time, old friends, including many early Village Zendo practitioners, folks coming from great distances. So good to have you. And I'm seeing lots of friends online as well who I haven't seen for a long time. Thank you for coming out. I'm glad to know you haven't forgotten us. So what is this ceremony about? It's the Gate of Sweet Nectar, or Kanramon in Japanese, is a ceremony of feeding the hungry ghosts. And what are the hungry ghosts, or who are the hungry ghosts? Well, it can be, basically it's beings who are consumed with desires and cravings and insatisfaction because of their delusions. And fundamentally the delusion that they are separate from everyone and everything else. So we can think about hungry ghosts as kind of mythological beings who inhabit one of the 6 realms, who we acknowledge in this ceremony. We can think about hungry ghosts as people we know in our own life, people who are needy or greedy or grasping or always unsatisfied, people we know around us, famous people, wealthy people, powerful people too. And of course, we ourselves have our own aspects, hungry ghost aspects. Those needy aspects of ourselves, greedy aspects, grasping, constantly unsatisfied. And I think it's part of our human condition. It's probably exacerbated by the society in which we live, which spurs us to want more and consume more, or be addicted to more stuff and to get more and more and more and more. Right? So how do we feed the hungry ghosts? It's basically through generosity. This is a ceremony of generous giving, and in our practice it is about giving generously in daily life and in our spiritual life. So in this ceremony we give all of these beautiful things, food and drink, on the altar to the hungry ghosts in the realm of the hungry ghosts. In daily life we give whatever is at hand that we have available to give. In our spiritual life we can give the gifts of the Dharma, the wisdom and compassion that arise naturally if we practice and let go of our narrow idea of who we are. So in this ceremony this morning, we've been giving our chanting, our energy, our awareness. And if we really engage wholeheartedly in this ceremony, the gate opens up and the sweet nectar pours forth. So in the deepest sense, the sweet nectar is just the oneness of reality, the oneness of life. And our awareness in each moment is the gate for the realization of that oneness. So if we do this, we benefit. Those who receive the gifts benefit. Those who give benefit. Those who witness this giving benefit, according to the teachings. And maybe the most important thing I have to say today is that this is why we have a temple like the village Zendo. It's so that we can come to a place where we can learn how to get rid, how to loosen, how to not hold on to our deluded, self-centered tendencies, to learn to be able to give generously and be of service to others, and just to learn how to live in accord with the oneness of life. So this temple is here to help us to learn how to give and to enable us to give. So the Gate of Sweet Nectar it's a ceremony that really comes to us thanks to the effort of Roshi Bernie Glassman, Enkyo Roshi's teacher, our Dharma grandfather. And Bernie Roshi, when he was starting out in his practice, had a very powerful opening experience which connected him with all of the beings who are suffering in this world. And it was such a powerful experience, he decided to devote the rest of his life to trying to serve people who are suffering. Those who are hungry, those who are homeless, those who are jobless. And it took very concrete material institutional forms. The Greyston Bakery, the Zen Peacemaker Order, which Enkyo Roshi was also a leader of. And Bernie is renowned as one of the pioneers in socially engaged Buddhism in this country. But he also paid a lot of attention to ritual expression, and he brought back and developed this ceremony that we did this morning. And there are a lot of Bernie touches in there. And a number of other temples in the Zen Peacemaker Order in the White Plum lineage also do this ceremony. But I think that actually this spirit of generosity has been at the heart of the practice at Village Zendo from the beginning. Going back to the 1980s, what was going on in New York City in the 1980s? What was going on in Manhattan? What was going on in the village? Well, for one thing, there was an AIDS crisis. And completely naturally, the Village Zendo emerged together with, in a time of crisis, and attempting to respond to those conditions. So Enkyo Roshi and others who are here from those early days, Robert Savage, one of Enkyo Roshi's old friends and one of the founders of Village Zendo, we're going to the gay men's health crisis to provide an opportunity for meditation for mostly young men who were living with AIDS or dying with AIDS. And I think it was natural that out of that early work around the AIDS crisis that in the early 2000s, a number of folks here at Village Zendo got involved in chaplaincy, Buddhist chaplaincy, to work with those who are sick and dying. And we've had many people in our community train as Buddhist chaplains and to work in different institutional settings. And we continue to have, I can see people on the screen and people here who continue to do that kind of service. And I remember the guiding role of Trudy Jimpu Hirsch also in developing this area of work for the Village Zendo. And it was around the same time that the Zendo started to get more involved in prison justice work. So in 2005, we started our Sing Sing program, and we have the Notes to Solitary group, correspondence group. We have a number of people, including people here, who have been engaged in working with formerly incarcerated people, policy reforms, people in our Sangha who have devoted a lot of time and work to the Shut Down Rikers program, for example. And as conditions have unfolded, the Village Zendo has responded in different ways. And as the immigration crisis intensified, the Village Zendo began to do more work in that area. Doshin did some important leadership work for us in that area, as we've done some legal work in that area. And today, of course, we have new challenges that are facing us with the far-right takeover of U.S. government and the public sphere. So I think that throughout these 40 years, the Village Zendo has been unfolding in terms of the practice here, but also while trying to meet the needs and the challenges that we're facing as a society, using the resources that we have available. So there's a koan that I have been thinking about recently, and it seems connected to me, to what we're doing here today. It's a story from 8th century China, or actually around the same time that this Gate of Sweet Nectar ceremony was being developed into its current form. But a monk asked Master Joshu, when great trouble comes, how can we avoid it? Good question. A natural question. When great trouble comes, suffering is imminent. What can we do to avoid suffering? So I thought about this in connection with the Gate of Sweet Nectar, because there's a story about how the Gate of Sweet Nectar ceremony begins. And in one version, Ananda, the devoted disciple of the Buddha, is sitting in meditation, in contemplation. And in the midst of his experience, suddenly a hungry ghost appears. A hungry ghost by the name of Burning Mouth. And his mouth is just consumed in flames, and he's clearly in intense agony. And these hungry ghosts are very strange looking. They have big, distended, empty bellies and teeny tiny necks. Nothing can get down. They can't swallow or eat anything to satisfy themselves. So it was a horrific sight that Ananda was suddenly faced with, and he was terrified. And Burning Mouth said to him, "You too are going to become a hungry ghost." And Ananda said, "Oh no, what can I do to avoid that fate?" And Burning Mouth said to him, "Well, if you feed all of the legions of hungry ghosts and the three treasures, then you will be freed from suffering and you will be reborn in heaven." So Ananda heard that, and he had started out terrified, and now he was really overwhelmed. How am I going to possibly feed all of the myriad hungry ghosts? So he went to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, "Well, I have something that will help you. It is a special mantra, a special spell. And all you have to do is to offer food and drink and recite the spell, and the food will multiply abundantly and infinitely, and you'll be able to feed all of the hungry ghosts." And the spell is not a secret one. It goes, no makusabata, no makusara batata yata baro kite om sambara sambara un. And in a snap, all of the food is transformed into infinite abundance. And the Buddha said, not only will you be able to feed infinite numbers of hungry ghosts, but anyone who witnesses this ceremony will also become upright and understanding and pure, like all of you. So the teaching of the Gate of Sweet Nectar is that we can escape from our own suffering. We can avoid suffering through generosity if we overcome our narrow, cramped sense of who we are and our habitual, ingrained, self-centered conduct through giving to others and to ourselves. So, back to the koan. Joshu was asked, when great trouble comes, how can we avoid it? And Joshu said, according to one translation, welcome. So this is the translation of James Green, and that welcome is saying welcome in a way. It's saying in a way, bring it on. There are other translations. The meaning is that this great trouble comes perfectly as it is. So other translations are exactly right. Or Joshu answered, just so. Or that's it. And to look at Joshu's answer, it might help us to think about another koan, which many of you know. A monk asked Dongshan, when cold or heat comes, how can we avoid it? And Dongshan said, why don't you go where there's no cold or heat? So the monk said, and where is there no cold or heat? And Dongshan said, when the cold comes, let the cold kill you. When heat comes, let the heat kill you. So in this case, with Joshu, we could think of it as, when great trouble comes, how can we avoid it? Well, why don't you go to the place where there's no great trouble? And where is there no great trouble? When great trouble comes, let the great trouble overcome you. So I hear this as a teaching of non-avoidance and non-separation from reality. So Joshu's saying, meet it, show up for it. And if you really meet it completely, you can drop your separate sense of yourself. And likewise, you can drop any idea of great trouble. And there will be no great trouble when you drop that idea. When you are fully in it, you just do what needs to be done in that moment, in those circumstances. So the village Zendo has faced great trouble again and again, the AIDS epidemic. But at that time, the practice was not to turn away from the suffering, but to meet it. To be intimate with illness and with pain and with loss, to witness it, to accompany those who are going through it. Standing up with them, speaking up with them. Roshi often talked about how transformative it was for those young guys to really get involved deeply in meditation, because it helped them to really appreciate their lives, to appreciate their life very deeply. And I think the same has been true with the chaplaincy work. Meeting great trouble, not separating. So during our last Shuso Hosen, our Shuso Rakushin talked about the koan of Dongshan. When Dongshan was sick, a monk asked him, "Master, you're unwell." And Dongshan said, "Yes, I am." And the monk said, "And is there one who is not unwell?" And he said, "Yes, there is." And the monk asked, "And is the one who is not unwell taking care of you?" And Dongshan said, "No, I have the chance to take care of him." And the monk said, "And what's it like when you take care of him?" And Dongshan said, "Then I don't see that there's anyone who's sick." No separation. And the prison work, I think, is just the same. When you're there at Sing Sing with the guys, in a way, the walls kind of drop away sometimes. And you're just sitting there with them, you're just talking with them, and it's a really, there's no great trouble. And now we have this new koan of the great trouble of the right wing that is ruling this country, a population that is deeply divided, antagonistic, alienated. How do we meet this great trouble? How do we respond appropriately? I think that is one of the great challenges for Village Zendo today. And we've been working on that. And I think that over these 40 years, we've gained a lot of resources. We've gained a lot of examples and a lot of experience to be able to meet these troubles. So the examples and the experience come from Enkyo Roshi and Joshin Roshi. They come from Robert Savage, many other Dharma brothers and sisters. They come from Roshi Bernie Glassman and Maizumi Roshi and all the ancestors. We have Zazen as our fundamental practice. We have the teachings of the Zen Peacemaker Order, the 3 tenets of not knowing, bearing witness, and loving action. We have the teachings of Enkyo Roshi of intimacy and true expression and service to the world. We have Joshin Roshi's spirit of inquiry and methods of inquiry. We have the ethical precepts of the Bodhisattva. The work is going on all the time around us, and it has to go on all the time within us as well. Maybe we can take inspiration from Ananda in terms of our own work with our own hungry ghosts. When we see the hungry ghost, not run away, just be able to stay in our practice and listen to what the hungry ghost has to say, and maybe start a dialogue with that hungry ghost and learn something from the hungry ghost and figure out a way that we can respond to meet our own suffering and the suffering of those around us. And we have this wonderful community, our elders who have many years of accumulated experience, and the newcomers who offer us lots of new energy that we really need. So the challenges are great, but in the deepest sense, I think we have everything we need to show up and meet our times. In the deepest sense, we really aren't lacking anything. The gate is already open, the sweet nectar is already pouring forth. So let's share in it together, share it with others. Congratulations, Village Zendo, on 40 years. We vow not to turn away from the great trouble. And now, let's celebrate. Thank you.